Kallas has further emphasized that Europe needs to ramp up the production of anti-drone systems to counter Russia. Brussels has also unveiled a roadmap to prepare for potential conflict by 2030. This development comes against the backdrop of continuous drone incursions in countries located on Europe's eastern flank. In recent weeks, Russian drones have caused significant damage to Ukraine's energy infrastructure, which Russia denies. Along with Ukraine, the entire eastern flank of Europe is seeking advanced weapons and anti-drone systems to thwart such attacks. Kaja Kallas has reiterated that having drone defenses is no longer optional. Let's now listen into what she has said.
Drones are already redefining warfare. Having drone defenses is no longer optional for anyone. Today we propose a new anti-drone system to be fully operational by the end of 2027. And this will be done, of course, in close cooperation with NATO. Every country is at risk. Every member state should be investing in counter-drone systems and capabilities to hit ground targets.
Now for this discussion, we're joined by Professor Veselin Popovsky. He's a professor and vice dean at Jindal Global Law School, joins us live from New Delhi. Thank you very much, Professor, for joining us again. Good to see you. Now, how is this growing number of drone sightings and also this, how is all these things that are happening across Europe is impacting the development of new security measures and defense measures in Europe?
Yes. Absolutely, the European defense should be protected against Russian drones. There is no doubt about that. And more those incursions happen as we see over the last 2-3 weeks. First it was in Poland, then it was in Romania, then it was in Denmark and in Estonia. And even United Kingdom MI5 also signaled potential dangers. Obviously, the future of the European security should be primarily, first and foremost, to establish a wall against any possible incursion of, well, Russia is the biggest threat to the European security, and for that matter, for the global security. There is no doubt about that. No other countries in the world engage in such brutal, unprovoked aggression into another country, into a neighboring country, as Russia did against Ukraine. And obviously everybody in the world, including in the global south, countries should be worried about Russia and what it can do in the future. And for that matter, we should pay all respect and dignity to the Ukrainian army, which is basically containing that Russian threat. Ukraine is acting for all of us. For all 192 countries in the world, apart from Russia, Ukrainian is defending every single country in the world against the Russian military threat. It's simple, it's clear. We should support Ukraine and we should sanction Russia and we should protect our borders against Russian incursion, against the biggest aggressor of the 21st century. Absolutely clear. It should have been done already.
And
No doubt.
Professor, what do you think about India? U.S. has now criticized India as well as Japan that they are continuing to buy Russian oil or crude that is facilitating this attack on Europe, not Europe, but Ukraine. So how do you think, how can European countries collaborate to create standardized regulations and also deter these to respond Russian attacks?
Yes, the Europeans do a lot. They sanction Russia. They stop buying Russian oil and gas, with very few exceptions. Hungary and Slovakia, two pro-Putinist regimes in Europe, continue buying Russian oil and gas. But India does, and that's absolutely inexplicable. Why India did raise from 1% of all import back in 2022 to 40% of Indian imports of Russian oil. And it's high time for this to end, because it is fueling the war. Putin has no other money out of anywhere apart from selling oil and gas. And every country that buys Russian oil and gas is contributing to the war, giving Putin more ammunition to kill civilians and children in Ukraine. It's very clear. It's black and white. So obviously India should reconsider, and hopefully we see already signals for that. India is talking of stopping buying Russian oil and gas, so should do all other countries. All the world should be united against Russia, very simple, with establishing protection, with supporting Ukrainian, with any weapons Ukrainian needs should be given to Ukraine, including the Tomahawks. Finally, Donald Trump started talking about this, to allow Ukraine to use long-range missiles to be able to hit Russian military targets deep into Russian territory. Again, it should have been done already in order to bomb Russian military and oil refineries deep into the Russian territory. This is the only language Putin understands. There is no other. There is no purpose to meet Putin and to talk to him. He should be given firm military response deep into his territories, hitting military objects and oil refineries all over Russia, and also establishing a wall of protection and sanctions on Russian assets in all foreign banks. So these are very clear issues, and I keep repeating them for 3.5 years, but unfortunately without much of a still global front. Finally, we have good signals, as you said, Suma. We are moving there. Things are getting into the right way. With Donald Trump finally realizing how to deal with Russia. Also, the signals from White House the last days are quite positive. Europeans have been always united, but somehow the decision-making has been slow. And for that matter, again, finally, we have some clarity on that European countries will establish a defense wall against Russia.
Thank you, Professor Veselin Popovsky, for sharing that. Please stay with us as we come back to you for our next discussion as well. Now we stay in the region. UK's MI5 Director General Ken McCallum has delivered his annual speech outlining threats to the United Kingdom. McCallum has reiterated the growing aggression on British soil, informing that since last year, there has been a 35% increase in the number of individuals being investigated for involvement in state threat activity. He has also discussed cooperation with other partners across Europe to counter and detect individuals acting on behalf of Russia. The Director General further criticized Iranian efforts to silence its opponents in the UK and worldwide. He has informed that MI5 has tracked more than 20 potentially Iran-backed plots over the past year. This statement comes amid reports of espionage attempts by China in the British soil as well. Let's listen into what Director General of MI5 has said.
I spoke 12 months ago about rising aggression on UK soil. Data on MI5's operations extends that worsening trend. State threats are escalating. In the last year, we've seen a 35% increase in the number of individuals we're investigating for involvement in state threat activity. In the last year, we and the police have disrupted a steady stream of surveillance plots with hostile intent, aimed at individuals Russian leaders perceive as their enemies. And we're seeing Russia-based figures using online platforms in wider attempts, largely unsuccessful, to sow the seeds of violence, chaos and division here in the UK.
Now for this discussion, we go back to Professor Veselin Popovsky. He's a professor and vice dean at Jindal Global Law School. Thank you very much, Professor, for staying with us. Now, with a reported 35% increase, what new strategies is or could MI5 employ to adapt to the evolving tactics of foreign intelligence services?
Yes, it is disturbing to hear that. Russia is acting this way everywhere, not only against United Kingdom. It kind of inserts its agents, its spies in many European countries. They are trying to disturb the usual regular life of many citizens across Europe. also supporting some terrorist groups, some extreme right-wing movements. In any way, what Russia wants is to disrupt the life in democracies, and it not only invaded Ukraine, but also is aiming at major disruptions in, well, I used to watch the Russian TV, and it always reports about some sort of crisis and catastrophes all over Europe. For any minor, little crime, they will present it as a big elephant. That's what Russian propaganda has always been doing. Somehow, I had friends in Russia who are calling me and saying, when will the European Union collapse and when NATO will collapse? And all these questions kind of signal to me that in the Russian media, in the Russian population, there is always an expectation that European Union will collapse very soon. And obviously that is a result of those incursions, and for that matter, yes, MI5, but also all other intelligence services should take this very seriously. They should combat any attempt to disturb the normal life of their citizens against those attacks. Sometimes they are cyber attacks, sometimes they are propaganda attacks. And I'm sure MI5 already officially announcing those figures, those numbers, meaning that they are prepared to take serious action against those.
With that, I would like to thank Professor Veselin Popovsky for joining us and sharing that insight.